The Dragongators series. Book 1, Revenge of the Dragongators, Chapter 2, by eNKay D Durand. Copyright 2015. Release Halloween 2015. Okay, Chapter 2. Kuska woke to screams in the night as she sat up in her bed. She could see out of her small window, fires blazing in the night. She tilted her head, wondering if she was still dreaming. However, an explosion caused her small window to implode into her room and assured her it was not a dream. Stunned from the loud noise and the shattered glass, she mindlessly wiped the debris from her face, her eyes watching as some of the village buildings were burnt to a cinder. "Kuska!" her mother screamed as her parents burst into her room, their breaths loud and fast, while their faces glowed as their eyes looked dartingly around the room. Her father quickly ran towards her bed, scooped her up into his arms, and carried her rapidly out of the room. He headed into the kitchen and down the narrow stairs to the cellar, while her mother followed close behind. "Father, what's happening?" Kuska pleaded, now frightened. Her father set her down gently on the dirt floor and wiped his sweaty brow as he wearily shook his head side to side. "Kuska, you need to hide. The village under attack. Now quickly, crawl in there," her mother said, as she pointed in a small dug alcove in the wall. The alcove usually held their meager rations of vegetables. "I think you'll just fit." "Mother," Kuska started to say, when another explosion shook the house and sent the dust cascading on top of them. Coughing, her dad pushed Kuska towards the opening. "Hurry!" he ordered. Kuska quickly crawled over to the alcove and wormed her way inside. It was a tight fit, as she had to keep her knees bent up to her chest and could already feel the cold ground sealing her body heat against her back and buttocks. She wiggled as she tried to get more comfortable, which sent a cascade of dirt falling from above her, giving her short, wavy black hair the appearance of black licorice with chocolate topping. She stared out at her parents and could see they were holding each other's hand. Their eyes gazed at her, as if mesmerizing what their daughter looked like. "Why am I hiding? Where are you going to hide?" "Never mind you, missy. You just stay here until we come get you when it's safe. Promise me you'll stay here," her father said sternly. Kuska's father knew that Kuska had ideas of her own, and following orders was not one of them. As a child, her parents often had to go look for her in the shallow woods, where they had forbidden her to go. Her parents would find her reading or playing in one of the enclosed small meadows. Kuska looked up at her for her mother's reassurance, but in the dim light all she saw was the glitter of a single tear as it trickled down her mother's cheek. Another explosion shook the small house, this time sending out bits of debris as some of the rafters were shaken loose. "Yes, I promise." While her mind wondered why she could not just go with them, the question fluttered away as both her parents bent down and lovingly kissed her on the exposed cheek, whispering in unison, "We love you." They stood up. Her dad grabbed a shovel, and her mother some baskets. Taking dirt from the corners of the cellar, her dad shoveled small mounds of dirt and placed them in front of Kuska's hiding place. Once half the entrance was covered, her mother grabbed the baskets and placed them on top of the mound. The small cubbyhole was completely covered from sight. Kuska watched through a small peephole as both her parents turned hand in hand and hurried back towards the cellar stairs, her heart filled with a vast sadness which spilled over, releasing the tears that dripped down from her eyes and onto her cheeks. When Kuska heard the thumping of their footsteps on the stairs, she quickly yelled out, "I love you too!" As the cellar door closed, darkness enveloped her. The only light that shone into the cellar was the one coming through the kitchen door. Even in the cellar, Kuska could hear people screaming and the smell of wood burning. She shivered as the dirt stole more of her body heat. In the darkness, she felt safe. She figured if she could not see into the dark, then neither could anyone or anything else. Kuska hummed a lullaby to herself as she tried to pass the time and quell any fear. Absent-mindedly, she reached down and rubbed her legs as the muscles had begun to cramp. Aroused abruptly out of her reverie by the resounding sound of splintering wood and glass breaking, the clunk of heavy footsteps scraped across the wooden floor above her, her ears followed the sound through the house above and into the kitchen where the door to the cellar stood. Her heart pounded faster, as she was sure the sound was not caused by her parents. mouthing a silent chant of hope. She tried to calm herself. She held her breath and listened as the scraping footsteps stopped. A thunderous crash echoed through the dark, as the cellar door was now in fragments, so she could see better. She shifted a few of the baskets which blocked her vision. A small trace of light erupted from the now voided door and flickered like a tiny flame along one of the cellar walls. Kuska could hear a deep, breathy growl coming from where the stairs were, and soon the wooden stairs groaned, as if a huge weight had been set upon them. "Whatever's coming down the stairs," she thought. "It's definitely not my parents." She took a deep breath and released it slowly, trying to calm her racing heart. "Please, please," she thought as her heart throbbed in terror, "don't find me." Kuska held her breath tightly and closed her eyes and covered her ears with her hands, as she could hear items being thrown aside. She opened her eyes quickly when the baskets touching her moved a bit. Through the gap in the baskets, she could see a huge, dark, misshapen silhouette as it meandered back towards the stairs. The thing released a deafening roar, causing her to shield her ears from the sound. Then, as she watched, the thing stomped up the stairs and was gone. "What was that?" she whispered to herself. Kuska closed her eyes and breathed in a sigh of relief. "Thank the moon that thing didn't find me," she thought, until she saw the flickering flames through the rafters and heard the crackling of fire. "I'm going to be burned alive!" she screamed to herself as she saw the flames had woven their way down to the bottom of the wooden stairs. She tried to calm down as the rancid smoke caused her to choke and gag. Fear consumed her when she saw the burning kitchen floor as pieces fell into the cellar. She tried to wiggle back out of the crevice and escape. However, she was stuck. The baskets next to her caught fire. She shoved them away with her free hand. She watched the flames engulf everything in their wake. Coughing from the smoke, her eyes watered as she tried again to worm her way out of her confines. She closed her eyes tightly. "Think, think, think," she said out loud, until the smoke caused her to have a coughing fit. She exhaled as much breath as she could before once again trying to climb out of the cubby. Inch by inch, she wiggled her body out until finally, free of her confines, she scrambled to her feet. As she looked around for anything to climb up on, to escape out of the smoke-filled cellar, a loud creaking caught her attention as she looked up, and the upper floor was collapsing down on her. She ran and tucked herself into the closest corner of the cellar. Her mind imagined herself being cooked alive by the unbearable heat, as she slunk down and rested her forehead on the dirt floor. Plop, 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 went her tears into the ground. "Mama, Papa," she cried before she drifted off into a smoky slumber. Meanwhile, in a village not far from Kuska, similar events were unfolding. Jarek and his friend Zinian were hiding as well. They were hiding in Zinian's root cellar with their brothers and sisters. Jarek and Zinian had been, being the smallest and youngest of the children, had crept away from their siblings. The two hid amongst some scraps of old sheet metal and produce that was stored for the coming winter. The two watched as their siblings sat huddled, shivering in their nightclothes as they sat on the cold cellar floor in the corner. The sound of unfiltered screams resonated through the night air down into the root cellar where they all hid. Zinian's youngest sister, who was only a year older than him, whimpered steadily with each new scream. Gunshots boomed at a steady pace, as so did the thumping of running footsteps. A runner had come earlier from a neighborhood village, warning their village about the lurking danger. Came the sound from under Zinian where he sat. Jarek reached up and pinched his nose closer for the smell could permeate his nostrils. Turnips were a staple crop for the town of Turpton, and so was the gas Zinian produced from eating the turnips. "Sorry," Zinian said with the slightest hint of embarrassment he always carried with his gaseous self. Zinian's flatulence was also why they sat by themselves rather than with their brothers and sisters. So Zinian's siblings also had the same reaction to eating turnips. One person blowing gas was all Jarek's nose could take. When their parents first dragged them all out of bed and huddled their children down to the cellar, all of them had sat together, each watching silently as their parents had hurried back up the stairs and disappeared from sight. No words were spoken, not even saying goodbye or what was happening. Their parents earlier had only told them to stay there until they came back for them. "I should be up there fighting with them," Jarek's older brother snarled. "I know how to shoot a gun, and in 2 months I'll be old enough to take the adult test. That's so unfair," he pouted, turning away from the others. "Why do I have to sit here hiding with a bunch of babies?" The adult test was passing the rites into adulthood. The test contained various parts. Part 1 was to be able to read, write, and do math at a predetermined level. Next was the skills part, where the person had to show a skill where they may be able to support him or herself and a family. Lastly, all tests needed to be able to wield at least 2 weapons proficiently. Weapons included guns, sword, bows, knives, and a staff. Jarek knew his brother excelled at all the tests for adult tests. However, age was a factor. In order to take the test, a person had to be 15 years old. The only exception to the rule was a child was an orphan. Then and only then a person could petition to take the test as young as 13 years old. Jarek and Zinnian could easily tell their family apart. In each family, their skin tone ranged from a light coffee with cream to a dark caramel color. It was their hair that set them apart. On Zinnian's side of the family, their hair color was coal black. Jarek's family ranged from mousy brown to a dark auburn in their hair color. Each had 3 siblings, 2 girls and 1 boy. Jarek watched as one of Jarek's sisters got up from her seat and walked towards them. Jarek's sister took out some apples and handed 2 to each Jarek and Zinnian. They both mumbled thanks in between bites. The rest received, they saw, 1 apple each. After a while, the sounds of screaming had quieted down, and soon the smell of smoke wafted through the air. All flinched when thunderous footsteps pounded on the floor above. Zinnian and Jarek huddled deeper behind the winter supplies, while their siblings hunkered down as if trying to make themselves a massive invisibility and blend into their open corner of the cellar. The children could not help but look at the ceiling above them, as crashing, thumping, and growling emitted from above. Even Zinnian's sister quit whimpering, as if being quiet would make the sounds go away. The pounding footsteps quickly crossed the floor above them and stopped just outside the cellar door. Sniff, sniff, and a loud growl echoed through the air as the door was ripped from its hinges. Boom! The children heard as the door was thrown aside and hit the wall upstairs. The children grew closer, cowered down and hoping whatever ripped the door away stayed away. Sniff, sniff, and the menacing growl reverberated down the basement stairs. "Do you smell that?" they heard from above, answered by a "Yes, fresh meat," in a strange language they did not understand. Whatever stood in the doorway was communicating language the children did not understand. Had they understood what was being said, rather than staying in a group, they would have run for their lives. Jarek's brother, wanting to prove himself as a man, broke off from the group and walked boldly towards the stairs. "Hey, you up there!" he called out, standing tall and straight as he could, puffing out his chest a bit, like he had seen his dad do when confronting someone. A low growl which sounded like a laugh, followed by, "What a foolish boy you are!" Growling laughter rang from above as the other creatures joined in. Jarek's brother wished he knew what they were laughing and what they were saying. "Hello! What do you want?" he called up to them. He could see the creatures' outline. He recognized them as mutants. But unlike any mutants he was familiar with, their heads filled half the doorframe. He could see in the dim light their elongated mouths were filled with oversized pointed teeth, and their eyes glowed a menacing glow. The yellow glow reminded him of rare flashlights his village used to hunt at night. He stood there and watched one of the mutants as it climbed through the door and started to walk down the steps. It was huge! The stairs groaned under its weight. He wanted to run away and find a place to hide, but he wanted to prove to all that he was a man, not a scared little boy. Jarek and Zinnian peeked up from their hiding place, their mouths agape at the scene before them, their eyes ping-ponging from Jarek's brother to the massive creature who slowly descended the stairs. The creature's long, muscular arms hung down to its knobby knees, while its short, meaty legs bulged with muscle with each step. Dragging behind the mutant's massive body and head was a long, thick tail, which whipped back and forth as if agitated. Jarek wanted to scream and his brother to run, but fear kept him silent. Jarek looked over at his other siblings. They were still cowering together, though all eyes wide watching the thing come down the stairs. "Please," Jarek thought piteously, "let no wicked ensue." "There's enough for both of us," the mutant called out to his friend above, soon followed by a laughing growl and what Jarek's brother thought might be a smile. He stood there as the creature walked hunched over and up to him. "It's so huge," He thought his heart thudded in his chest. He controlled his urge to run away. The other mutant started walk slowly down the stairs. Humans are so egocentric, it muttered to his friend, and laughed. The two huge creatures stood in front of Jarek's older brother now, taking a deep breath, and sorry for it as the smell of the creature made him cough and heave. They emitted a smell, he realized, of rotten meat. The children held their breath as they all watched in awe, wondering what was going to transpire. His coughing fit finally subsided as he spoke. What do you want? He asked the creatures looming over him. The mutant looked at each other and grinned before turning to face him once more. The larger one raised a pointed claw and poked it at Jarek's brother's chest, uttering one word they all understood. You! Jarek's brother tried to jump back from the creature. For its size, it moved fast, grabbing Jarek's brother before he could even jump. Holding now the squirming boy in its humongous clawed hands, with a single squeeze, the once squirming top part of his body was separated from its bottom half, held only together by his skin. The creature roared and dropped the broken boy into the ground as it ran towards Jarek and Zinni's now scrambling siblings. None of them got very far, as they were cut down by the creature's lightning-fast claws. One by one, the boys watched all their siblings fall to the ground, dead. Zinni and Jarek sat huddled together, unable to take their eyes off the couch before them. The monsters ate their fill, and with a loud, low growl, burped, and they left the way they came. At the top of the stairs, the two boys could hear sniff, sniff, sniff. Please, both boys thought, don't find us. Just go away. As the two monsters heard their request, as if they heard their request, they did just that and went away. Thumping above the shivering boy's head resumed, soon followed by the thick smell of smoke and the crackle of fire. The ceiling in the basement was aglow as smoke wafted down and the boys coughed and sputtered. We're going to be barbecued! Jarek replied, not if I can help it. Pulling Zinni into another corner of the basement, he pushed Zinni's head down towards the dirt. The heat from the fire became unbearable. Jarek watched as Zinni started to dig a large hole in the dirt floor. Dig! He yelled above the noise of flames eating away from above. Dig! Jarek and Zinni dug a hole big enough for them to squeeze together in. As smoke surrounded them, and the upper floor collapsed, the two boys were already unconscious. Their dreams filled with forests of pointed teeth covered with sharp clawed limbs, which grabbed out towards them. A soft winter escaped from their lips, as if they were running for their lives. Kuska, Jarek, and Zinnian awoke late in the afternoon to shouts of people feeling dazed, their bodies scalded by fire, and they were having difficulty breathing. Each called out in rasping voices, attempting to get anyone's attention. That was all they remembered until waking up on the medic bus and lying on a cot. The bus was 3 high, 8 long, full of cots, 3 cots per section, and almost all the cots were full of people. There were at least 3 other medic buses they could see, parked behind them. Kuska sat up and looked around. She noticed 3 other children, about her own age, lying in cots closest to her, and a badly burnt man who was moaning for his wife. Hello, said a voice behind her, startling her back to reality. Kuska turned to look to see who the voice belonged to.